Former LSU wide receiver Kyren Lacy was tragically found dead on a Saturday night in Houston, a heartbreaking development that sent shockwaves across the LSU community, fans of college football, and everyone who had followed his journey. Confirmation came the following Sunday through an LSU official who spoke with ESPN. Though the cause of death has not yet been publicly revealed, the news of his passing has already begun to ripple far and wide, stirring emotions and questions among fans, teammates, and the wider football world alike. Lacy, just 24 years old, had once been seen as a bright, talented athlete with the potential to thrive both on and off the field. The suddenness of his death, coupled with the weight of the controversy surrounding the final months of his life, has created a complicated and painful moment for those who knew him and those who only knew of him. His death is not only the loss of a young man but the loss of a life filled with potential, promise, and the possibility of redemption. The LSU Tigers, where Lacy played a pivotal role in recent seasons, issued a solemn statement in response to the tragic news. "We're saddened to learn of the tragic passing of former LSU football student-athlete Kyren Lacy. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family and loved ones, as well as his former teammates and coaches impacted by his passing." The university's words underscored the gravity of the situation while extending support to those closest to him. The LSU family is vast and deeply bonded, and this tragedy cuts to the heart of what it means to lose someone from that community, especially under such complex and emotionally charged circumstances. The shadow that had recently fallen over Lacy's legacy stemmed from an incident that occurred on December 17th. Lacy was accused of causing a horrific traffic crash in Louisiana that ultimately took the life of a 78-year-old man, Herman Hall, a passenger in one of the vehicles involved. The aftermath of the incident was marked by a painful and highly publicized legal battle. Authorities claimed Lacy fled the scene without offering assistance or calling emergency services, a serious allegation that stood in stark contrast to the image many had of him as a disciplined athlete and respected young man. On January 12, after nearly a month of silence and growing speculation, Lacy turned himself in to the authorities. According to police records, he was jailed and then released on a $151,000 bail. The charges he faced were severe: negligent homicide, felony hit-and-run involving death, and reckless operation of a vehicle. These were not merely traffic violations or minor infractions. They were life-altering accusations that, if proven, would not only derail Lacy's professional aspirations but also reshape his legacy entirely. The case against Lacy was scheduled to be heard by a grand jury beginning Monday, the very next day following the announcement of his death. His passing, therefore, has left many questions unanswered, not just legally but morally, emotionally, and spiritually. What truly happened that night on the road in Lafourche Parish? What demons might Lacy have been battling in the days leading up to his death? What burden did he carry from that December evening to the moment his life ended? Matthew Ory, Lacy's attorney, expressed his grief and urged for compassion and patience during this trying time. In a statement provided to ESPN's Mark Schlabach, Ory said, "It is with profound sorrow that we confirm the tragic passing of Kyren Lacy. First and foremost, we ask that the public and the media give his family the space and time they need to grieve this unimaginable loss in peace." His words echoed what many close to Lacy likely felt: heartbreak not just for the end of a young life, but for the way it ended, amid scrutiny and despair, amid unanswered questions and a future that had grown increasingly uncertain. Ory also maintained his confidence that the full truth would have eventually come to light. "We were very confident the evidence, after being fully collected and reviewed, would lead to a declination of charges," he stated. "We will be demanding a full and transparent review of how this investigation was conducted and why." The implication in Ory's words was clear. There were lingering doubts about how the case was handled, and possibly more to the story than what the public had seen or understood. The Louisiana State Police offered a detailed account of what they alleged occurred on December 17th. According to their news release, Lacy was behind the wheel of a 2023 Dodge Charger and was allegedly driving at a dangerously high speed on Louisiana Highway 20. Reports said he recklessly passed multiple vehicles by crossing into the northbound lane in a designated no-passing zone. This behavior, if true, painted a chilling picture of recklessness that defied the rules of the road and risked lives, including his own. As Lacy was illegally passing the other vehicles, the release stated, the driver of a northbound pickup truck abruptly braked and swerved to the right to avoid a head-on collision with the approaching Dodge. Following behind that truck was a 2017 Kia Cadenza. Its driver, trying to evade the Dodge Charger, swerved into the opposite lane to avoid impact. In doing so, the vehicle tragically collided head-on with a southbound 2017 Kia Sorento. Crash was catastrophic. Herman Hall, a passenger in the Sorento, would later succumb to injuries sustained in that collision. Authorities alleged that rather than stopping to help or call 911, Lacy drove around the scene and fled. This detail in particular is what garnered widespread outrage and disappointment. For many, it's unfathomable that someone could drive away from such devastation. And yet, others argued that people are complex, that in moments of panic and fear, people do irrational things, especially when they feel their future hanging in the balance. Lacy's agent, Rocky Arsenault, maintained that his client was cooperating fully with authorities. In public statements, Arsenault urged people not to rush to judgment, reminding the public that the legal process was ongoing and that everyone is entitled to a presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Whether that message resonated with the wider public or not, it at least attempted to offer another perspective, that perhaps Lacy, amid all the accusations, still deserved understanding and, more importantly, due process. The irony of the timing of everything was not lost on those following the case. On December 19, just 2 days after the crash, Lacy declared for the NFL draft. It was a move that stunned many and led to intense speculation about his mindset, intentions, and motivations. Was it an attempt to redirect his future before the storm fully hit? Or was it the act of a young man in denial, trying to hold on to the dream he had worked so hard for? Lacy did not play in LSU's Texas Bowl victory over Baylor, a decision that, at the time, was largely seen through the lens of his draft ambitions. But with hindsight, some wonder whether the weight of the crash, the pending charges, and the media scrutiny had already begun to fracture his spirit. He did, however, participate in LSU's Pro Day in March, giving scouts one last look at his athleticism and potential. In December, ESPN's Mel Kiper had ranked Lacy as high as the No. 6 wide receiver prospect for the upcoming NFL draft. By the time his latest big board was released last month, Lacy's name no longer appeared among the top 10. The descent was symbolic, a sign not just of shifting perceptions but of a future slipping through his fingers. Lacy's football career had been one of resilience and progression. He began his college journey at the University of Louisiana before transferring to LSU, where he truly began to shine. His final season at LSU was his best, statistically and emotionally. He caught 58 passes for 866 yards and scored 9 touchdowns, leading the team in that category. On the field, he was electric, fast, strong, and smart. Coaches praised his work ethic, his maturity, and his growth. Teammates spoke of his leadership and his heart. He was more than a player, he was a presence. But football, like life, is not linear. The rise can be meteoric and the fall devastating. Lacy's story, while still partially untold, is now tragically finite. A young man with dreams, ambitions, flaws, and promise is gone. And with him goes the opportunity for answers, for reconciliation, for healing, and for justice, whatever form it may have eventually taken. What remains are memories, on fields, in locker rooms, in late-night team meetings, and in family moments now painfully distant. His family, now tasked with mourning not only the loss of a son, brother, and friend, must also contend with the complicated legacy he leaves behind. It's a story of talent and trouble, of a dream interrupted, of a tragedy with layers of pain that will linger long after the headlines fade. In moments like these, people often seek closure. But with Lacy's passing, closure feels elusive. There are too many questions, too many what-ifs, too many paths that will never be walked. Crash, the case, the comeback that never came, these now live in the realm of possibility, not reality.